Jones with Illinois Worknet, and welcome to the Layoff Workshop webinar. Before I hand it over to all your presenters for today's session, I just want to review a couple of the housekeeping items in case you've never been in one of our webinars before. And the first item, you'll notice on the left side of the screen, there's a chat pod. And here you can ask any questions that you have for any of the presenters that are going through their material, and we'll make sure to answer them either in the chat or we'll ask them at the end of the presentation. And then right below that, we have a file pod. This has all of the PowerPoints that the presenters will be reviewing and a couple of extra additional handouts regarding Illinois Worknet, unemployment insurance, Illinois Job Link, and just some others. You can click on each one, and then you'll have the option to download the file, and you can download each one individually. Or if you click on the upper right-hand corner, there's a drop-down, and they'll give you the option to download all. And they'll download all of them for you at one time. And that's all the housekeeping items we have for today. I'm going to hand it over to Annie Dorr with the Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity.
Great, thanks, Chelsea. Like Chelsea said, my name is Annie Dorr. I'm with the Illinois Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity, DCEO. We are gathered here today. First of all, I want to say thank you to everyone for joining us. We are at what we call a rapid response webinar. So whenever an organization within the state of Illinois is doing a mass layoff, we are mandated to get information out to the employees that are impacted by that layoff to let them know about resources that are available to them because of their status as what we call a dislocated worker. And a dislocated worker is someone who loses their job through no fault of their own. They've been laid off. And there are a lot of resources out there that you may or may not know about that are available to you. And so what we hope to do today is to have you walk away from this webinar with a little bit more information about how you can access these resources to kind of shorten the length of time between your job at CEDA and whatever your next opportunity is. So with me is what we call our rapid response team, and each one of us is going to take a little time to present information to you. First of all is Kathleen Brannigan. She is from the Chicago Cook Workforce Partnership, which we call the partnership. Kathleen's organization is responsible for workforce development activities within Cook County. If you happen to live or work outside of Cook County, you can access these same services closer to wherever you live. We have a tool on Illinois Worknet that will help you find the location that's closest to you, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. Also with us is Nicole Lindsay. Nicole is from the U.S. Department of Labor, and Nicole is going to talk to us about some information that the agency she works for administers. She works for the Employee Benefits Security Administration, so obviously she'll be talking about employee benefits and how that relates to your status as a laid-off worker. And we also have Jeff Roudier, I hope I said that correctly, Jeff, from the Illinois Department of Employment Security. They are the agency within Illinois who administers unemployment insurance benefits. So Jeff is going to talk to us about eligibility for those and sort of some of the ins and outs. And feel free to ask questions as we go along, we're here to provide you with as much information as possible and want to try to make this as interactive as possible. So please jump in and ask questions as we go along. Thank you. Kathleen?
Thank you. Thank you, Annie. My name again is Kathleen Brannigan, and I represent the Chicago Cook Workforce Partnership. which is the local workforce investment area for Cook County and represents the public workforce system for the entire county of Cook, including the city of Chicago and suburban Cook County. We want to welcome you to the CEDA Rapid Response Webinar Workshop, and we certainly appreciate your participation and do hope that you find this information useful to you in your employment transition period. Most people are familiar with our health and education public systems, but many are not familiar with our public workforce system, which has been in place actually for a long time, but people do not, unfortunately, become aware of the system until they're going through employment transition periods such as this one. Again, reciting what Annie had said, today's program will cover the dislocated worker services, programs, and resources that are available to you. And these resources that are available through federal grants and sometimes state and local resources are available to you at no cost. There is no cost to you to access these programs and services because you've already paid for them through your tax dollars. I know that Chelsea has gone through some housekeeping things, but we do want to encourage you to ask questions as we go along, and we will definitely be allowing for a Q&A period after each presentation. The other thing that I wanted to mention too was that all the information that we are talking about today and materials available for you to review online or download and print however you want to review that on Illinois Worknet, which is the state of Illinois' workforce development portal. It has been recently relaunched. It actually is celebrating its 10th year anniversary. I can tell you it's extremely resourceful. All the information will be at your fingertips. And also what I want to point out is there is a company event specific page for CEDA that has been created. And you can access that again on Illinois Worknet, and we're going to be covering that shortly. I'll be covering where you access that. I'm going to move ahead here. So these are some quick facts about the Workforce Partnership. We were recently reconfigured 3 years ago, so we represent one of the larger workforce investment areas in the country. And what that has meant over the past 3 years is that we're very actively involved in many reemployment and employment initiatives. We are working with major companies. We're working with small, medium, large companies. And our goal and objective of all of our work is to help people upgrade their skill set, help them develop new skill sets to re-enter the workforce. So that's our main objective. Again, this is a dislocated worker program. It is a federal program that is facilitated through the U.S. Department of Labor. It is facilitated with our partner, state partner, the Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity. And these funds come down through the state level, and then they're administered throughout regional workforce areas, such as the partnership. So these are some quick facts. I'm not going to go through all these facts, but the important point is that there are 10 workforce centers. We have 49 affiliate service provider partners. We have a business intermediary that, their specific scope is to work with businesses to identify opportunities for employment. So it's a big system. We have a lot going on, and we have a lot of programs and resources available to you. So, we definitely want you to, we'll be covering this today, but you can go back to Illinois Worknet, and all the information will be available for you. So I think that Annie Dorr from the state had talked a little bit about the goal of the webinar. So again, we're here providing information and resources of these programs to help people reenter the workforce. That means helping people to retrain. They may be in a specific sector and need some additional retraining, vocational training, help people develop new skills, to find potentially a position in a new sector or a new occupation. But all, all of our work together, and we have many great provider partners, many great professionals in workforce development that can help you take that next step. And that's what we're going to briefly go over. So talking about the WIO grant, and this is actually, the grant was reauthorized in July, and we are now moving forward through changing our name, so we're all getting used to WIOA, but the Workforce Investment Act grant provides these services available under the Department of Labor. It's meant for employment assistance, employment placement, and regional key sector training. I think we've covered that. And again, Ms. Dorr, Annie Dorr had covered this. So you are, because you received notice from your company, your organization, that you've been laid off, that officially makes you a dislocated worker. Therefore, you can access these services immediately. Again, these are no-cost services. So under the new WIOA grant, there are 2 levels of service, and that's going to be career services and resources and training. So the first level is career services and resources. So these are some of the things that are available to you. Probably the most important thing is the resource center. So all of our workforce centers have resource centers where you can access free, no-cost use of computers with high-speed internet access. We have fax machines there. We have copiers. We have available phones. So that's all meant to support people in their job search. You do not have to be a registered client to do that. Anybody can come into an Illinois Worknet Center or the Workforce Center and use those services. It's also a place where we will do our orientations. And if you are interested in becoming to access those services, you do need to be made eligible for dislocated worker services under the WIOA grant. And what I wanted to mention to you is the first thing you'll want to do is to contact a workforce center near you. We're going to go over that shortly to tell you how to do that. Access one of those workforce centers, 10 workforce centers. You'll want to call them and you'll want to set up an orientation appointment. At that orientation, they're going to give you a deep dive of all the details. They're going to talk to the paperwork, the things that you need to bring in for the application. For dislocated workers, the important thing is to keep your separation letter that you've received from your organization. Either way, even if that is a problem or if you haven't received that, you haven't held on to it, whatever, you're still eligible. It just makes it easier. So for lack of a better word, it's like your ticket to access services. But once you do that, you'll be given an intake appointment and you'll start to work directly one-on-one with a career coach. And that's another important takeaway that you'll want to remember. You'll have that opportunity to work one-on-one with a career coach, a workforce development professional, who will work through helping you to identify your next step. They'll work through to help you put together your resume. It's possible that you want to get back into the job force immediately, and that's fine. Many people do that. But you need a resume, and you need to put a resume in electronic format. You need to obviously add, make sure that you're providing all your work history and all your skill sets on that resume. And there are different ways to do that. There are resumes are fluid documents, and that career coach works with, many, many people and are experts in that field, so they can help you put together that resume to reintroduce you to the workforce. You have an opportunity for many workshops. It may be, at that starting point, a resume workshop, or it may be that you want to find out more about social media, job search, or it may be a situation where you're pretty certain that you want to move forward and develop some new skill sets. And there are workshops to help you do that. But these, there is work that is required, and so you're going to be developing, a good working relationship with that person, and they'll be there every step of the way to help you with that. So again, these are some of the other services that will be available to you. And, any questions that you have with regards to that job search, they can help you with, and they can direct you to that path. The next level of service in the WIO grant is training services. And what WIOA can provide is for you to go back to school and be trained in one of the demand sectors, a demand occupation that's been identified by the state, and go back to school to retrain. The WIOA training service level is meant for people to train 2 years or less. It's not meant for you to complete a master's or complete college, but it can help you retrain in a sector such as IT, healthcare, manufacturing logistics, manufacturing, hospitality, and retail. So those are the key sectors in our regional area, our regional Chicagoland area, and there is many to choose from. And all that information about training and key sector labor market information is available on Illinois Worknet, which we're going to talk to in a minute. But again, these are some of the things that are available. So you can go back to school, and again, this is a program, a service that is available to you at no cost. And the training, what it is a tuition subsidy. And within Cook County, you can go back to school for up to the maximum training amount is $8,000. So for instance, if you're interested in healthcare, you've always wanted to do it, you have the aptitude, the people skills, you can start in a healthcare field such as a CNA and potentially move forward from there. So that's a great opportunity. It's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to access the WIOA training services. So again, you can see there's other opportunities for entrepreneurial training. It's possible you might need some adult education or literacy support. We can definitely provide those services to you and or direct you to that path. So the other thing that I wanted to mention too, so Illinois Worknet is a great tool. It is available to you 24/7. It is the state's online workforce development portal, as you see on the screen here. And it's very comprehensive. Somebody used the term robust, and I have to agree with that. It provides at your fingertips the information and the pathway to move yourself forward. So as a dislocated worker, you can access this website, Laid Off Worker. You can actually access your CEDA company-specific page, and it will provide information to you about what we're talking about today. It's also going to provide information with regards to support services. You potentially may have a housing issue, or you need assistance with transportation, things like that. Being a dislocated worker and accessing these services will provide those services to you. So again, once you get into that workforce center and once you go through that orientation, you'll be set up with that career counselor, and they're going to be able to help direct you accordingly with whatever the situation is that you're inquiring on. So here is the, when you access Illinois Worknet, again, the address is there, you had seen it. What you'll do is you'll follow the laid off worker step guide, and it will take you, to this step guide here. And again, it's at your fingertips. So you can research new careers, you can research and go up and access labor market information. You're, again, potentially thinking about healthcare, and you can access information about a particular occupation, where you access training. And that's the other thing, too, just recently launched last week, is the training module on Illinois Worknet. So this is going to be a great tool, a great partner to you if you are thinking of training and want to move forward in a new field. It can provide labor market information, where you train, the cost of training. There are a lot of pieces that you have to put together and information that you'll get assistance with your career coach, but again, it's a help us help you process that we can we can help you with. So you'll be our partner, as well as we'll be your partner in this as well. So again, at your fingertips, Illinois Worknet. And again, the material is available to you here as well. So you'll see some information up on this webinar, and it talks to everything that we're covering today. Now, what we had talked about earlier was if you, whether you're in Cook County or you're outside of Cook County, you can access services through the state's program. And this will help you find a workforce center near you. So by accessing this information and setting up the filter, you can narrow your results. You see it to the bottom left. You can put your zip code in, and it'll pull up the nearest workforce centers near you, as well as a service provider network. And there's great people working in all those centers who will help direct you, answer questions, what have you. But the point is that you do want to call that workforce center near you and schedule yourself for the orientation session. And we do try to move people in and out quickly and, get you moving on that path. The other thing I wanted to mention again is that this Illinois Worknet is available to you 24/7. A lot of the work that you're going to do prior to your work with that career coach, you can do on Illinois Worknet. It's, again, available to all residents in the state of Illinois, meant to provide employment assistance, employment, and help you in terms of your placement opportunities. The one thing I didn't cover that I wanted to mention is becoming a dislocated worker. Also, the point is to help you get a job at the end of your training or your preparation and job search. So with all of our service providers, we do have a business service team, and these are what we refer to as job developers or business service reps, that their specific scope of work is meant to develop business relationships with employers to help us develop a talent pipeline. So again, that's set up for each sector, and it's the kind of thing I always share this information with everybody, because you want to be active. You want to be active in your job search. Going into the workforce center, you're working with workforce development professionals alongside many other people that are on the same path as you, or a similar path. So there's networking opportunities, and that workforce center is really a nucleus in the area. So, definitely you want to make sure that you get into the call the Workforce Center as soon as possible. The other thing I wanted to mention, again, this is a federal grant, so these services too are also available out of state. It might be a different, like I think in Indiana it's Workforce One. What you'll want to do is you can go online and you can put state of Indiana or wherever you're moving, Massachusetts, what have you. They're going to have the same program. It might be programmatically, it might be set up differently, or there might be a different title to the program, but you'll be able to access workforce development programs and services through the WIOA grant. We are going to be covering health insurance, but I also wanted to mention that you can also access Illinois Worknet for state of Illinois insurance and prescription benefits. This is available to you up on Illinois Worknet under benefits and services, supportive services, excuse me. So I've come to the completion of my presentation, and I am seeing some different questions, and I'm going to open the floor. So if anybody wants to type in some questions, I see that there is one. There is one from somebody with regards to the workshop for interview and resume prep. You do need to move through that. You do need to move through eligibility and becoming a client, a WIOA client, and you need to move through that process with an employment specialist or career coach. So I do want to mention that. You'll want to, the process, I'm seeing another question with regards to how long is the process to access training. Again, you'll want to, today, you'll want to call a workforce center, get it set up for an orientation. You're going to want to start to do research on the sector and the occupation that you're interested in. Again, Illinois Worknet can help you do that. And you'll want to do that right now. So everybody's different. There's no specific timeline. It's just moving along with the process. So, I would say the quick things you want to do is call the Workforce Center, set up an orientation appointment, and get going with your research on training programs if you're interested in that, and then starting to work with your career counselor. I do see a note with regards to participating in WIA training. No, that would not cover an online master's program. So I just want to mention that. So I'm seeing some different questions come in, and I'm going to start to, let's see.
Kathleen, I can go ahead and give you some of the questions we have if you'd like. I have them pulled out.
Okay.
The first one we received earlier was from Joanne, and she asked, what if you already have a degree? And this was early in your presentation.
Okay. If you already have a degree, but they're, I would say that
interested in training.
What did she say now?
She just asked what if you already have a degree? I believe this was when you were referencing.
Well, it doesn't, because you have a degree doesn't, it doesn't take you out of that equation to move forward with additional training. You might have a degree, but potentially you're interested in project management. You can go get a occupational project management certificate and add on to your portfolio, your professional development portfolio. So that, that doesn't negate you from, additional training.
Okay. And then the next question is from Raymond. And he said, if we qualify for a training program via the WIA grant and we end up being called back to work, can we still complete the course even though we have returned to work?
Yes, you can. You've become disqualified. You can continue to train under the training service level. So yes, you can do that.
The next question from Regina She said, I updated my resume and I'm ready to go. How soon can I access updating my computer skills?
So I would say to Regina, you can, all of our workforce centers do have opportunities for upgrading your computer skills. That's covered under the WIOA grant. So as soon as you call a workforce center, as soon as you get in, bring all the information in that you need, you can move along pretty quickly. They all have schedules for computer skill training that you can access at no cost as a WIOA client. So that's important to note.
Great. The next question from Raymond asks, are we limited to the training opportunities that are listed online, or can we access other certificate programs?
Okay, Raymond. You do need to, the training program does need to be a certified occupational vocational training program through the state of Illinois. There is a lot to choose from. So you can access Illinois Worknet and see what is out there. I will tell you that once you get into the Workforce Center, they do have workshops on training, and they can answer more specifically on what would be available, not available. But it is broken into the key sectors, and there's key occupations. We don't, not everything is covered. In the past, we were training for things that ultimately people did not get jobs in. So, you know, a lot of research was, a lot of labor market information has gone into this. So we're training so that we're meeting employers' needs in terms of the type of workers that they're looking for.
The next question came from Regina, and she said, can I work part-time while collecting unemployment? This might be more...
yeah, that's
more
unemployment. So we'll be covering, we'll be covering that
Absolutely.
soon, Regina. Thank you.
And then the last one says, can you do both an online master's program and WIA? I believe that's what Michelle's asking.
Hi, Michelle. You're asking, I saw again. Unfortunately, we don't cover master programs. I would tell you that it's possible if you had one more class, that is something that might be considered. They might pay for the one class, and, you know, again, they pay for books and transportation. But no, we, you know, typically, traditionally, we don't cover master's programs. So I think that's it, Chelsea, if I'm looking at it. If I'm looking at it. So I want to thank everybody, and we'll move along. And again, I thank you for participating today. Great questions. And if you have any questions, certainly that come up, you can continue to type them. Thank you.
Okay, this is Annie Dorr again. I want to go back to Michelle's question. If I understand correctly, Michelle is asking, she's paying for her master's degree online program, and while she's doing that, can she also do WIOA training at the same time? And I guess, Michelle, my response to you would be, that depends. What will happen is when you sit down with your career advisor at the Worknet Center, they'll put together an employment plan, you know, the two of you will. And if that employment plan requires that in addition to the master's program, you receive additional training through this short-term occupational that Kathleen mentioned, then yes, it's possible to do that. But what I would say is that our goal and what we are measured on is actually getting people reemployed. It's not just the training. So yes, there are training dollars available to you, but it's got to make sense in terms of what your employment goals are. So I hope that helps answer your question, and if not, you know, please let us know. So okay, we're going to switch gears a little bit from talking about job search and job training resources, and talk a little bit about employee benefits that typically people have questions or are concerned about when you're going through a layoff. And that has to do with retirement and health care benefits. So I'm going to turn it over to Nicole Lindsay from the U.S. Department of Labor, who will talk to us about that. Nicole?
Good morning. Thank you so much. As you indicated, my name is Nicole Lindsay. I am from the U.S. Department of Labor. The particular agency today is Employee Benefits Security Administration. So Employee Benefits Security Administration enforces ERISA. It is known as the Employee Retirement Income Security Act of 1974. And basically what it does is offer protection for both health as well as retirement plans sponsored by employers. So since job loss does affect those benefits, today I'm just going to simply provide an overview of some of the applicable provisions that will assist in making some possible choices in respect to those, your health care and your retirement benefits. I will start off by discussing health coverage and then end up just on some reminders for the retirement plans. Okay. So who we are, I just basically went over that and indicating that ERISA does affect private sector employer-sponsored plans. I wanted to point that out there. And the reason that we are here today, because it is important for you to take that timely action to protect those benefits that you have, your retirement plans and your health care plans, okay? All right, so the health insurance options that I'm going to be discussing today will be Hipaa, your special enrollment right, Cobra, and new, the young adult coverage for individuals or dependents under the age of 26, as well as the marketplace. So for Hipaa, previously, you may know, there were some pre-existing condition exclusions that were allowed by employers. So basically what that means is that if you had a condition that existed prior to receiving coverage under a new plan, the employer may be able to deny some of those claims in reference to that condition. Now pre-existing conditions, due to the Affordable Care Act, they've affected Hipaa, so pre-existing conditions no longer exist. And those certificates of creditable coverage that you would receive notifying you of your loss of coverage date, they are no longer required. However, an employer may voluntarily provide those certificates still, just simply to provide that notice indicating when coverage ended. Also, your waiting periods for new plans, they will not be exceeding 90 days prior to some of the changes to Hipaa due to the Affordable Care Act. An employer could allow your waiting period to exceed 90 days, but now coverage on a new plan must be effective no later than 90 days after the new employee satisfies those plan eligibility requirements. Hipaa special enrollment. So Hipaa provides or requires a group health plan to allow an employee, spouse, or dependent to enroll onto the plan if there is a loss of group health coverage. This particular provision can be effective because it is an alternative to Cobra, which can be quite expensive. So if the spouse's employer or the parent's employer sponsors a plan, this can allow you an opportunity to enroll onto their plan without having to wait for open enrollment. So the only thing that you must do is within 30 days of your loss of coverage, notify the employer, which would be either the spouse's employer or the parents if you're if you're 26 or younger, notify the parent's plan that you would like to enroll onto their page into their plan within 30 days in order to receive coverage under that plan. It's important to note that an employer may actually require that you put that notice in writing. You just want to check with the plan. So if it's your spouse or your parents, you just want to check with their particular plan to confirm whether or not you need to put that request in writing. Sometimes you can give them a call and make that request, but you want to see if they do require that you put it in writing. Additionally, that coverage will begin the first of the month following that request. So if you know that your coverage, well, in this case, your coverage is ended, but you can actually make that request early so that you won't have a break in coverage for the Hipaa special enrollment rate. Okay, Cobra. So Cobra is often used in conversation as actually like an insurance plan, but it's actually a law that allows an employee to continue their employer-sponsored health care coverage, just the same as active participants. Whatever the active employees receive, individuals that continue their coverage via Cobra have the same rights. It's simply direct continuation of the same plan. Everything remains the same. That also includes any progress that someone has made towards their annual deductible. The only difference with Cobra, which is a big difference, is that individuals are then required to pay their own premiums. So usually an employer pays a large portion of the premium, and then the rest is deducted from the employee's check. When you're continuing your coverage via the law of Cobra, your employer will no longer be contributing to the portion of your premium. So you'll see that costs go up, and then you'll also normally see a 2% administrative fee on there. One of the benefits of Cobra is that it does allow independent elections. What that means is that if your employer has separate medical, dental, or vision plans, you actually have the right to just simply elect that medical portion or even that dental portion, which obviously will lower the cost of your premium. Additionally, when they refer to independent elections, if you're currently on a family plan, you also have a right, everyone on that plan in the family plan has a right to individually elect Cobra. So that also will essentially reduce whatever the premium would be, because you're no longer paying a family rate. You will at then that point be paying an individual rate for coverage. So here, it's discussed more Cobra. So the loss of coverage, that particular qualifying event here provides you Cobra for up to 18 months. What you should know is that coverage can end sooner than that 18 months. For instance, if the employer totally terminates their health care plan or if they shut down operations completely. In such cases, because Cobra is not an actual insurance plan and it is a law, in those cases you will not have a plan to continue your coverage from. So in those cases, your benefits could end earlier than the 18 months that are allowed. You see there the participant can be charged up to 102% of the full cost of insurance. That's simply what I just recently explained. Because the employer no longer contributes to the premium, you see the 102% includes your cost that you were paying via the premium deductions off of your check, as well as what the employer was contributing, and then that 2% administrative cost making up the 102%. So from within 44 days of the benefits ending or terminating, employees or former employees will be receiving Cobra election notice. The Cobra election notice is very, very important because it provides all of the information you will need to decide whether or not you want to elect Cobra. That will include the monthly payments, when your payments are due, where to send your payments, all of that information that is very important and integral to you making a decision about your Cobra. Cobra does not require that you send your payments in at the same time of election, but here you see that Cobra allows you to have 60 days to decide whether or not you would like to continue your benefits of Cobra. You can send your election form in within that 60 days and elect, and then as long as you make your payments within 45 days after election, you should be good for being covered under Cobra. What is important to note is that if you do wait out that 60 days as well as that 45 days, you could essentially be paying for about 3 months of coverage there. The purpose of Cobra is so that you do not have a break in coverage, and coverage is retroactive. I'd also like to point out that right now, although there are several different options to continue your health care coverage or to have health care coverage after job loss, Cobra is the only plan that will continue you retroactive without you having a break in coverage. Other options allow coverage as the date of election. Cobra actually allows coverage dating back to the date in which coverage was terminated. Okay. So here you have these other options for health care coverage, the health insurance marketplace, as well as CHIP, the Children's Health Insurance Plan, and Medicaid. So when purchasing health care coverage through the marketplace, one of the benefits for purchasing coverage through the marketplace is that you actually get a screening process that automatically evaluates you based on your financial need. And based on that financial need, the marketplace, when you call in or if you email, they also do premium assistance, and they also provide information about some tax credits that could assist you in setting off the cost of whatever that premium is going to be through the marketplace. Now, there are several ways to apply for coverage through the marketplace. You can do it online. You can do it via mail. You can actually go on their website and print off the paper application. You can do it by phone and as well as in person. So on that slide, you will see the phone number as well as the website to apply for health care coverage. So normally, individuals that would like to apply for coverage through the marketplace, they do have to wait for open enrollment. But in your case, you will have a special enrollment right. So you can contact them and seek information about enrolling onto the plan. Generally, open enrollment for 2016 coverage will be from November 15th, 2015 through February 16th, 2016. That's the open enrollment for the marketplace. However, you actually will have a special enrollment right, so you can do any of those options for health care coverage as far as online, via mail, by phone, or in person. Okay? Another benefit to enrolling through the marketplace is that, there is CHIP, the Children's Health Insurance Plan, and there is also Medicaid. But when you go through the marketplace, they actually evaluate you for that as well. So they can tell you when you call in for the marketplace or online whether or not you're actually eligible for CHIP or Medicaid when you call in there, okay? So we always like to tell people some important information now that the marketplace is into play with Cobra. So Cobra can only be done, so you actually cannot replace Cobra with the marketplace outside of open enrollment. So the only way that you can do that is if your Cobra coverage has run out. So if you're at the end of your Cobra coverage and you apply for Medicare for the marketplace, during open enrollment, you can qualify for those tax credits. It will lower your monthly premiums and any out-of-pocket costs to you. But what's really important to note is that if you decide to elect Cobra today, and then you pay that premium for a couple months and you go in and you say, I really found something that is much more cost-effective to me via the marketplace, you would no longer be eligible for those tax credits or those premium deductions or the subsidies because you have lost coverage through fault of your own. So right now, prior to electing Cobra, if no one is elected Cobra or major payment, you can certainly go to the marketplace and seek coverage that way without having any issues with that reduction or tax credits via the marketplace. So Medicaid here, it is a free or low-cost care based on income and family size. For Medicaid, it's a state-based program, and again, you will automatically be screened for that if you go through the marketplace process. When you call in, they'll give you information on how to apply if you actually qualify for Medicaid. The Children's Health Insurance Program is also a low-cost health coverage that is applicable for families with income that is above the limit for Medicaid. CHIP does cover parents and pregnant women in addition to children. So each state has its own rules for qualifying guidelines. So on that slide, you have the website for CHIP as well as the phone number if you would like to seek some information about CHIP. But again, it is the same as I've already indicated a couple times. If you call into the marketplace, they really do go over all of those options with you, so CHIP, Medicaid, and any other insurance options available through the state. So that's about it for the health piece. For the retirement plans, we really just like to give some reminders. So regardless of the type of plan you have, it is really a great idea to make sure that you keep your address updated with the plan if you move. That way you can continue to get the mailings that the plan sends out, and the plan knows how to find you if there's some issue or if you want to remove funds from the benefit plan. So the normal retirement age for full benefits is usually the age of 65. But there are different rules for different plans. There are different payout options for those retirement benefits. It's really based on the written rules of the plan. We refer to it as the SPD, or Summary Plan Description. So prior to doing anything, if you're trying to decide what you want to do with your retirement benefits, it is highly suggested that you do go ahead and request a copy of the Summary Plan Description. That way, all of the information that I discussed just now, so knowing when you can apply for that benefit, at what point or how can you receive a distribution, all of that information is actually listed in the Summary Plan Description. So you want to go ahead, contact the HR department and request a copy of the Summary Plan Description if you do not already have one, and in there you'll get some instructions on what benefit payment rules the employer may have. So what options do you have regarding your retirement benefits? So for defined contribution plans, which are normally considered to be, or which are considered to be 401k plans, profit-sharing plans, not your normal defined benefit plans, which are based on your time in service. For those 401k plans, profit-sharing plans, plans of that nature, you actually can keep the funds in the plan if you choose. The only thing that we suggest very highly is what I've already indicated, which is to make sure that you keep in touch with the plan. Make sure they have your current contact information, your address, so that if they do need to mail you something, if they do need to update you on the plan, they will have your information. Some of the benefit payout options for the 401ks and profit sharing, those defined contribution plans, is that you can roll that money over if you do not decide to keep it in the plan. You may be able to roll it over to your own personal IRA, or if you go with a new employer, you can actually enroll or roll over that money to that new employer's plan if their plan allows. The other option that you have is that direct distribution. As you may know, the IRS will tax you. There is a penalty that you'll pay if you decide to go with that direct distribution. I believe, don't quote me, but I truly believe that it is about 30%. It's either 20 or 30% that penalty may be if you decide to get a direct distribution, okay? So here on the last slide, we just simply have our contact information. I am a benefits advisor. If you ever have any questions, you can always call our line. There are about 9 of us here. Our phone number is there. It's 866-444-3272. It is a toll-free number. Also, there is our website listed there. So you actually have the ability on our website to email us questions as well. We now have web inquiries. Our turnaround time on web inquiries is about 3 days for our phone calls. If you call in and you miss us, our turnaround time on phone calls is 1 day. So we're pretty good on the phone calls, web inquiries, everything. So if you choose to send us an email, give us a phone call, we certainly will be getting back in touch with you. If you have any questions about anything that I've discussed today, please feel free to call that number. And also, the PDF brochure of everything that I've discussed today is also on our website under the publications section. And in addition to that, we have other publications that are available on our website for information about dislocated workers, retirement and health care coverage, and also planning for your retirement. And that's about it for me. Are there any questions at all?
It looks like we just had a question come in from Judy, and she asked, if you haven't enrolled in Cobra, can you use the marketplace?
Absolutely. You can absolutely, Judy, enroll onto the marketplace, not having enrolled into Cobra. One of the requirements for the marketplace is that you do not lose any coverage via your own fault. So it's through no fault of your own. That's the term that they use. So generally, a lot of people may not know, but they have in the past maybe tried to enroll on Cobra, let's just say, for example, the employer may have chosen to pay for that 1 month, it actually disqualifies them. So if they chose and elected that Cobra for the 1 month and then found a really good plan on the marketplace for something that was much more affordable than the Cobra, they would lose that option for the marketplace because they would actually be dropping the coverage as opposed to the employer terminating their coverage.
And then Joanne asked, can you continue to contribute to the retirement fund?
No, you can't. Because you're not considered, well, if you call into whomever manages your funds, the administrators, you will still show as active if you do not remove your funds. But one of the requirements is that you cannot continue to contribute to the plan, but dependent upon the way that the plan is set up, it may certainly continue to grow. Let's just say they're vesting or contributing funds in certain plans that are growing. It can continue to grow if you leave your money there. That is certainly your option.
That was the last. Oh, nope, one more came in. It says, what if we are short on our time to be vested?
Okay, Ann. So the plan rules listed in the summary plan description really do determine eligibility for a distribution for the benefit plan. So if you are short on your vested time and can't actually walk away, I'm not sure on which type of plan you're referring to, but either plan, if you're not vested in the plan at the time of termination, the employer will use whatever time you have in the plan. It won't be extended because the employer has done some layoffs. Any other questions?
That was the last one that came in.
Okay, if there are no other questions, I thank you guys so much, and I wish you good luck, okay? Thanks, guys.
Great. Thanks, Nicole. This is Annie again. Okay, now we're going to move on to talking about unemployment insurance benefits, something people generally know a little bit about, but Jeffrey Roudier and Jeff, please correct me on the pronunciation of your last name, but he is going to talk to us about unemployment benefits. Jeff?
Yep. No, you said my name perfectly. I was actually impressed. So I'm just going to go over some of the general information about unemployment insurance, and I'm sure you'll have a lot of questions afterwards, and I'll answer those just after this short overview. So basically, unemployment insurance is a state-administered program designed to provide workers with financial assistance during temporary periods of involuntary unemployment or underemployment. So the Illinois Department of Employment Security collects unemployment insurance taxes from the state's liable employers and returns those dollars to eligible Illinois workers as unemployment insurance benefits. Workers do not pay into the unemployment insurance system, and that's a common misconception that we get with some of our claimants, that they pay into it, so therefore they're entitled. So it's actually the employer that does pay into it. So it's just some general information. I wouldn't, put too much into that, but if you just so you know where that money is coming from. I'm going to break down basically how we get your benefit amounts, and this is a general overview. When you look at your benefit right information, when you get it in the mail, it's going to make a lot more sense. But this is just how you know how we get that benefit amount information. You must have been paid $1,600 or more in wages during your base period for insured work. At least $440 of your base period wages were paid outside the calendar quarter in which your wages were highest. So I have some information here on the base periods. Basically, base period consists of the four of the last 5 completed calendar quarters. A quarter would be a 3-month period. So basically, we're looking at a total of a year's worth of wages. And in this case, since we're in July. So if your benefits begin in July, August, or September 2015, the base period is going to extend from April 1st, 2014, March 31st, 2015 will be when it ends. And basically, they're taking a snapshot of that time period, and that's how they calculate what your weekly benefit amount is going to be. If you do not have sufficient wages to establish a claim using the regular base period, we will look at wages in the alternate base period. Now, I'm saying these words base periods, and it's not very common. So, like I said, it's just that year time frame. If you do not have enough wages within that year time frame, they'll use the additional 3-month period, which is that alternate base period. So that'll be the last 3-month quarter that we've just recently passed. So I wouldn't get too caught up in this, but this is just, like I said, a general overview, and it'll be easier to understand once you get your benefit paper. And so that's why I don't want to get too caught up in this, because it's just the math of it all. But you can definitely go online and check the breakdown for yourself. Okay, here's an example of the maximum weekly benefit amount that you'd receive. So this is a 1-week check that you'd receive if you had your base period wages were a certain amount and you maxed out. It'd be $426. The minimum amount would be $51. Like I said, it's all based on that base period amount. If you are an individual with a non-working spouse, it could be as high as $507. And an individual with a child or children under 18, it could be $580. So I'm going to skip past the math, but hopefully you get a general idea of how that works. Okay, so here's some of the criteria. You must be involuntarily unemployed or underemployed. You must be able, available, and actively seeking work. You must complete registration in Illinois Job Link. You must serve 1 waiting week, and that waiting week is, we call it an administrative week. So that means when you do your first phone call, you're only going to, or your online certification, you're only going to get a 1-week check for the first time, and every week after that would be a 2-week check. So you must certify every 2 weeks, and that's very important that you certify, because if you do not certify for benefits, you will not receive your benefits for that time period. So file your claim for unemployment insurance benefits during the first week after becoming unemployed, because you don't want to lose any credit for any weeks prior if you were unemployed for that time, because it's going to start the week that you open your claim. So like it says here, you are strongly encouraged to apply for benefits online. You can come into the office and do it, but it's a lot easier to do it online. So I do highly recommend that. And if there is a problem, you can always come to the office for assistance. Here's the information that you can call the IDS here's the IDS website. This is going to have all the information I'm going over right now. If you want to break down things like base periods and weekly benefit amounts, it'll definitely give you a bigger picture of that. If you want to find your local offices, you can go online for that. Here's the Claimant Service Center number. It's 1-800-244-5631, Monday through Friday, 8:30 to 5 p.m., except holidays. Okay, so you're definitely going to need some information if you come to the office, and you need your Social Security number, driver's license or state ID. Also, information you're going to need for filing your claim as well is going to be names, addresses, phone numbers of all employers you've worked for in the past 18 months. You'll also need the number of days worked for each employer and the reason for separation. So basically, if you work for more than one employer, make sure you have all that information. A lot of this information is already going to be in the system, but if it's not, at least we can compare it to what is in the system already. You need information regarding any pension or retirement payments you're receiving, including Social Security. If claiming your spouse as a dependent, your spouse's name, employment status, and Social Security number. If claiming a dependent child, the child's name, birth date, and Social Security number. And you cannot claim both a spouse and a dependent child, so you definitely want to claim the dependent child, because that would you get more per week for a dependent child. And if your spouse is also claiming as well, you can only claim one child per claim. So if you only have one child and your spouse is claiming, then unfortunately you cannot claim them as well. After your claim is filed, IDS will send you a statement called an unemployment insurance finding. And this is where all that stuff that I told you before is going to kind of break down, and you're going to be able to base it on your own wages. And definitely if you have any questions about that, that would be something you could call your local office about, or the 1-800 number that I just gave you. So the wages report how much you're getting for a week. for insured work and the total wages paid to you during your base period. Unemployment monetary determination, weekly and maximum benefit amounts. So the weekly amounts, how much you're going to get a week, and the maximum amount is going to be how much you're going to get total, and any dependent amounts. Payment types. So you can get direct deposit or debit card. Highly recommend that you do direct deposit. Everyone will receive a debit card, but if you put in for direct deposit, it should go to your bank account. So it's a lot easier to do direct deposit so that it goes to your account and you don't have to deal with any, maybe additional fees or whatnot when you're taking out your money. Your first certification date. You cannot receive benefits for a week of unemployment until you have certified for that week and have met all the eligibility requirements during that week. So like I said, you definitely want to make sure that you have all the information for the previous 2 weeks before you file for unemployment. Because it's going to break it down and it's going to ask you how much you earn that week, how many days you're able and available. There's a whole list of questions it's going to ask. Remember, it's for the previous 2 weeks prior to the call. Benefits are paid for calendar weeks of unemployment. A calendar week begins on a Sunday and ends on a Saturday. So when you're calling in and you're reporting your wages, it's the wages you work for that week. It's not when you get the actual paid those wages. So you want to calculate how much wages you made for each given week. So when you call, you're able to put that into the system. Also remember, this is the gross pay. So you want to report everything that you made per week, without the taxes taken out. Once you file for unemployment insurance via the internet or local IDS office, you must then certify to your eligibility for benefits by internet or telephone on a scheduled day every 2 weeks to IDS. Your scheduled day is going to be on your benefit statements, and that's the day you're going to call every week. For some reason, if you're not able to call and you say your day is Wednesday, Thursday and Friday are always makeup days. But try to call on your day of the week, and remember, you're going to call every other week on that day for the previous 2 weeks of benefits. The best way to certify is via the internet. So here's the website right here. If you do not have internet access or you feel more comfortable doing it on the phone, you can call the teleserve, and the number is 1-312-338-IDES. And that's available 5 a.m. to 7:30 p.m. And here's the customer service information. Call 1-800-244-5631. During each week, you must be willing and ready and able to accept a suitable job. You must be able to and available for work. So if you're on vacation, if you're out of town to do something non-business oriented, then you have to report that because you're not able and available for work that week. So I'm going to break down the able and available as we go along, but you'll see what we mean by that. So report any unavailable days when you certify. Unavailable days include days that you are away on vacation, like I just stated, or days you must stay at home to care for a sick child. For example, the law states you must actively be seeking work on your own initiative. Keep a log of your job search activity for every week in which you claim benefits. If your eligibility is challenged, you may be required to produce that document. I would say keep a paper copy of the document, and when you sign into Illinois Job Link, which is one of the requirements of unemployment, you'll also be able to keep an electronic copy of your work search record. I would keep that up to a year from the time that you finish your unemployment, because they can audit that information and check and see if you're actually looking for work at that time period. So always keep record of where you've looked for work every week. And here it is right here. Save your records, because this is basically what they're going to check in an audit. And this information is available on the website as well. And here's a tip. Enter your work search on IJL. Okay. Now this is one of the questions I saw earlier. You may claim partial benefits for a week even if you find part-time work. You must report earnings from part-time work when you certify. Report gross wages in the week earned, not received. So, bringing that point home again is definitely you have to report the wages you made that particular week. So earnings in excess of 50% of your individual weekly benefit amount, but still less than your weekly benefit amount, not including dependency allowance, are deducted from your weekly benefit amount, resulting in partial benefits. So say your weekly benefit amount is $100 per week, and you make $50, then there would be no deductions. Anything over $100 that week, it would actually close your account because the system would think you went back to work. Your wages for the week are equal to or greater than your weekly benefit amount. Your wage deduction eliminates your benefit for that week. However, that week remains in the maximum balance. So you don't lose that week. You still have 26 weeks to certify within that base period. So think of it as a bunch of weeks within one big giant 52-week pot. So you can use some here and use some there. But as soon as you've exhausted all those weeks, they're gone for that 52-week period. You will not be able to certify again until an additional claim is filed. So remember, if you do close out your account by making too much on a given week, that you're going to have to open an additional claim and report the new employer that you were working at, and how much wages you made for that week, and then that would continue your unemployment benefits. Dependent allowance is payable only if benefits are payable. So you're not going to receive a dependent amount if you did not receive your weekly benefit amount for that given week. You may opt to receive benefit payments by direct deposit or debit card. Like I said before, you definitely want to go for direct deposits. It's a lot more convenient. Electronic payments are generally available 2 to 3 business days after the day you certify. So you can check the bank and make sure that they're in there after you do your teleserve on or teleserve over the phone or do your certification on the computer. After you file a claim, a debit card will automatically be issued to you. Again, you'll still receive a debit card, but if you have direct deposit, it'll go there. But everyone, it's automatically going to send a debit card to you, but you do not have to use it if you opt out of that. Unemployment insurance benefits are subject to state and federal income taxes. So at the time that you apply, you can decide if you want to take your taxes out right now or pay them later. As a dislocated worker, you are able to work for Unemployment Insurance Act training funds to attend approved schools. These are things that we had just recently gone over with. An employer who hires you may also qualify for on-the-job training money, so it's good to know. It is important to register with your WIA provider ASAP. So again, we highly stress that as soon as you become unemployed, that you are to go down and try to get into see one of your WIA service providers. The sooner you register and get into a training program, the better chance you have to complete the training. The new skills will make you more employable. Training obtained through WIA program is approved and will allow you to continue to receive benefits. So here's Illinois Job Link. This is it's kind of like Indeed.com, Monster.com, but it's a little different in regard that employers can actually sign up for free. So therefore, it's a benefit to the employers to use Illinois Job Link. You have to sign up for Illinois Job Link if you are seeking getting benefits. So things that you're going to need is to put your resume into Illinois Job Link and just basically build an account. But like I said, it's free for both sides. It's free for the claimant. It's free for the employer. So it is a win-win situation in that regard. You don't have to just use Illinois Job Link, but obviously you have to use it at least for your work search record. And like I said, the employers can use it for free too. So you might get more employers on there than you would maybe on an Indeed or a Monster.com. So failure to register could delay or stop you from receiving benefits. This is an internet application available anywhere you have internet access, and help is available in every local office resource room. So definitely, if you have problems using Illinois Job Link, feel free to come in, and then someone will be able to help you with that. At your resumes and find you directly. So that's a benefit right there. I do referrals as well, so we can search through the resumes and find a good fit. So there's multiple people that can definitely network to connect you to the right employer. Okay, and it's 24 hours a day and 7 days a week, so it's definitely available anytime you need it. And I believe that is the end of my presentation. I'm definitely able to take questions now. Do I have any questions at this time?
I'm not sure, Chelsea, but it does look like there is a question from Michelle about how many jobs should she be applying for each week on average?
We do not have a minimum or maximum, but we recommend that at least 3 to 5. You know, hypothetically, you can apply for as many jobs as you want, and we definitely recommend that. But as far as being, you know, in compliance, you want to show that you are definitely looking for work. So a safe number would be like at least 3. I would definitely push 5, though, at least 5.
Thanks, Annie. Sorry, this is Chelsea. I forgot I was on mute, so I was talking and no one could hear me. We also had a question from Anne. Sorry, go ahead, Jeff.
Do we certify every week or every other week? You're going to certify every other week, and it's going to be for the 2 weeks prior. So write down all those questions. And when you do your online application, you're going to get all the information there too, and it's going to tell you the questions that it's going to ask you. So I would write down all that information before you even do the online cert or the teleserve. So when you're doing that, you're ready to answer all the questions. So it is every 2 weeks, and you do get a two-week check when you receive the check 3 to 5 days later. But remember, the first cert is only going to be the 1 week check because of the wait week.
And then we had one question from Raymond. He said, based on the current environment, what is the probability that benefits would be extended for an additional 6-month period?
At this point in time, we have no information from the federal government about doing emergency benefits. That expired about 2 years ago. So until we hear otherwise, it's just the 26 weeks right now. And I would definitely wouldn't, depend on having additional money from the federal government, because it doesn't look at this time that we will extend those again.
Okay, great. Thank you. That was the last question that came in. I see someone's typing, so we'll give them a minute to type.
Okay.
And then,
like I said, like some of these questions about the base periods and stuff, it's a little complex, but it's just kind of breaking down how they know how much they're getting a week. And this is stuff that they can investigate online as well, or it'll be in their statement. So I know it's a little, difficult to understand at first, but if you're really interested, you could definitely go online and look it up.
okay, we did have 2 more questions come in, and we'll cover those, and then we can wrap up.
Okay.
Regina asked, when does the clock start ticking for the 26 weeks? Is it
Clock
from the day you were laid off or from the first check that is issued?
Clock starts ticking the week that you apply for unemployment. So it's that first week. So that starts the 52 weeks, and within the 52-week period, you have your 26 weeks. You can use those 26 weeks here and there, but as soon as those 26 weeks are exhausted, your unemployment's exhausted for that 52-week period.
Okay, and then the last question from Marcia asked, do you ever recoup the wait week?
No, we do not recoup the wait week, but you still get that 26 weeks within that 52-week period. That's just more of an administrative week.
Well, great. Thanks, Jeff, and thanks to all of our presenters that provided some great information today for everyone. Before I hand it back to Annie for signing off the session, I just wanted to show all of you the Illinois Worknet flyer that is available in the pod in the bottom left for download. This provides you with the URL that will take you to your layoff page, which we will post this archived webinar and the handouts that we all use today.
course.
So you'll be able to download those from there and watch this archived webinar in case there's anything that you missed or want to re-look at or re-listen to. And then the second page just covers some other URLs for Illinois Worknet that you can definitely look at on your own time. Download the Job Prep app if you want. It's completely free to you, and you can use it on the go. So I'm going to hand it back over to Annie now so she can wrap things up.
Thanks, Chelsea. So thanks, everyone, for joining us today. I hope that you learned a few things. Just a quick wrap-up of, next steps. Basically, what you're going to want to do is go out to that link in the chat pod, find the Illinois Worknet Center location closest to you, give them a call. Let them know you're a dislocated worker and you want to look into job training or job search services, and they'll get you started. Also, if you have not already, definitely you should apply for unemployment insurance benefits. And as Chelsea mentioned, this webinar will be recorded and out on the CEDA page on Illinois Worknet. We will continue to update the message board on that page as we get information from CEDA or from any of our other partners that may impact your situation. So please come back to that page frequently. It's got a lot of great links. And again, thanks for your participation today. We wish you the best of luck.